Hey guys, just one thing I want to talk about in this video, and it's not going to be super duper in depth or anything like that, but it's going to be playing as a team specifically is what I want to talk about here. Now, if you're going to be a big team player, one of the things that you might want to look into, especially if you're going to be something like a Trinity or an Oberon and you want to, be that healer for your team. You want to keep everybody alive, or you want to keep those items good for everybody. You're going to want to go to your options, and in the HUD there is actually a show player list toggle. Now you might think at first that it's going to be like, oh, I don't want to see a list of players in the game or something like that, but what it's actually going to do is it's going to provide a list in this upper corner that's going to show all your teammates' health and all of that. Just like it would show your health or your teammates' health. Or I should say your companion's health. I'm not going to actually go into a full public match here, just for the sake of allowing me to kind of focus on what I want to talk about and being concise without having to follow around with everybody else. But certain things apply to playing as a team in this game that you might not think of in other areas. Such things as kill stealing. A lot of people might harp on kill stealing if they've come from various other games where this is actually an issue, where you can steal credit and rewards by killing something somebody else was attacking. In Warframe, it doesn't quite work in that specific manner. You can successfully kill things within a range around your teammates, and they will still get full credit for that kill. So the nice part is you can work with your teammates and kill things and not have to regret stealing all of the affinity gain or anything of that sort that they might otherwise really need. Items that drop are also for everybody but randomized, so if I pick up a mod like this redirection I just got, another player may not be getting redirection when they pick it up. It might be something else for them, like a serration or whatever. This can be a little bit deceiving because now you can't really necessarily go, oh, you should go and get this mod because it's super good, because it might not be the same mod for them. Now, I'm not quite positive what the default is off of the top of my head, but I know I have reassigned it to the G key, and this is another thing you can do is called place a marker, which will put a waypoint down, or if you put it on an enemy, it will say enemy. If you put it on an item, it will call out that there is an item there. This is handy for showing teammates where things are. Sometimes you'll be playing with a person and they'll request that you call out anything. For instance, right there's an enemy tag. Such as they're looking for, say, Oxium, the resource. So anytime that you happen to see Oxium on the ground, they want you to call it out so that they can know it's there and go pick it up. Likewise, if your screen starts flickering because you're about to be invaded, you may want to alert everybody by placing a marker and then real quick in chat typing in, Stalker or G3 or Zanuka, so that they know, oh, there's going to be a boss spawn over here, because those bosses do drop some stuff that you can't get from just anywhere else. And because, quite frankly, you might want their help, and if they're across the stage, they're not going to be helping you very much. Now, it's real easy in this game to just not really work as a team, because for the most part, especially in the earlier levels, you're strong. If you got a brand new Warframe but you've been playing for a while, you might be coming back to the earlier stages so that you can rank up a little faster. It's easy to kind of forget that some people might not be up to the same speed as you, and although you're there just to do something quickly, they might not be. So, looks like we're going to be seeing an invasion here soon. So it's very much easy. So in this situation, I might do this and then point out who's coming. And you can see that they're all right over there. My Kubro has gone down. I'll try to pick this up without getting murdered. After you win, it will actually go away. Now, as I was saying beforehand, it's easy to forget that maybe not everybody is at a stage for the same purpose that you are at a stage. You might be there, for instance, to farm a boss and try to receive the chassis blueprint or whatever Warframe blueprints are there that you don't have yet. Whereas somebody else might actually be new to the stage and going there to try to get items, and they might be running around. So it's very easy to just think of another player if you're brand new, for instance, and you're kind of taking your time and opening every locker and investigating every chest, to think of this other player who's just breezing through the stage with no seeming desire to actually stick around and do anything as this bad person. They're not really a bad person, they're just playing it for a different reason than you're currently playing it. It's a kind of little downside of how it just randomly puts together matchmaking at the moment, wherein you can't really designate, oh hey, I'm just doing this for speed running, so if we can all just hurry up and get this over with as fast as possible, that'd be great. You can always announce these kind of things at the start, and it can be specifically handy when doing something like a survival mission or other endless mission, because then players can kind of figure out how long you plan on staying around. But it is something that, don't just necessarily think of somebody as a terrible person because they're trying to breeze through the stage. They might just be doing it for a different reason. Another thing that you should keep in mind is to not feel bad about killing things because you're working as a team. It is a cooperative effort, and working as a team can make a stage a lot easier. It's not necessary all the times. I mean, as you can see right there, I just did this mission solo, but of course this is also one of the first levels you can play. It's not going to be as intimidating as if you go to somewhere with rank 30 and 40 enemies and try to stand by yourself. You should try to work as a team. You don't have to necessarily have a specific frame, but certain frame combinations will work nicely, and especially if you're trying to do that harder content, you might find that it's more useful if you all kind of get frames that work together. This is easier if you're playing with friends, because if you're playing with friends, you can each talk to each other and maybe get a voice chat program or talk through in-game chat, which some people don't know exist. If you go to your options and you actually go to your audio tab, you will see right in here, enable voice, and it has gain control and input selections. You can test your microphone. If you go into your actual controls, you can go to customize your key bindings, and there is a push to talk button right there, push to talk. So I could actually use control at any given time to talk to other players. This isn't often used, and it's probably because a lot of people don't really want to talk, but it can also be a lot easier to do to just be holding out and fighting and hold down a button real quick than trying to type, because if you're typing, you're not doing anything. And given Warframe's rather kinetic nature, it's not always good to just not be doing anything. How affinity is divvied up amongst your different weapons and the likes is kind of more of a different topic, and I can get into that if it's desired or if I have time and nothing better to talk about. But really, I just wanted to let you guys know that it is a team-based game. It's a cooperative game. If you're having a hard time doing something solo, go out there, get in a pug. There'll probably be people that can actually help you. Or even go to chat and ask for help. taxiing exists in the game when it comes to things like alerts, but just because you can do it doesn't mean you necessarily should. Some people be okay with, ferrying you someplace real quick so you can do an alert or whatever because you don't have access to it. But other people won't, and you would like to think that most of the time these people would just ignore you, but, everybody's got their own personal feelings about things. So it's generally nice if you don't just bank on everybody else. If you ask somebody to ferry you somewhere, it's nice to not just sit there and do nothing. You should at least try to help out if you're doing that. Unless, they expressly tell you that they'd rather you not. In some situations, people might be doing something like farming for affinity, and they might ask you to stay in the same area as them. Because as you're playing stages, if you're leaving the area and you're off by yourself, it can affect how bad guys spawn, and it can kind of throw things off, on top of the fact that if you're far enough away, you're not getting credit for anything they're doing, they're not getting any credit for anything you're doing, and it's spreading your resources all over the place, making it a more complicated process to pick stuff up. So ideally, communication is always nice. It's kind of hard at times with this game because, unless you're voice chatting, you have to actually type down here. And as you can notice in that bottom corner, it can be pretty hard to notice if somebody's trying to talk to you with how that box is automatically grayed out. Some things you can try to help out on this is in your gameplay options, I believe. There is maybe it's not in here. Oh, there it is. Large chat text, which will increase the size of the chat text, which makes it stand out a little bit better. You can reposition that box, which can make things a little nice, depending on if you're having a hard time looking in that bottom left. If you get lost, blue markers will indicate the direction of your teammates on the mini-map. If you can't really see the mini-map in the upper left, you can always try pushing M, and it'll bring up a bigger map, which will possibly help you see a little bit better. This is particularly handy if you're doing something like zooming in, because it's closer to your targeting cursor. It makes it a little easier to keep your peripheral on it. If you haven't toggled on the team bar, like I had mentioned previously, there is a default button. I believe for the most part that button is Z. I'm not positive on that though, and that will actually scale the list in the upper right down so that you can see other players that are available. That's really the most important stuff I want to go over, I guess, in my opinion. There are things that are commonly referred to as friendship doors, and these are doors that if you're solo you won't need somebody else to open it, but they will be marked with that white symbol on your screen. You actually saw me run through one earlier, but it will require 2 people to activate at the same time to open up. Really, it's just when it comes to playing with a team, just try to be a decent person. Everybody's here to have fun. Some people might be having fun in a different way. It's a little hard to tell just what way somebody's doing. Some people have very specific needs for having fun, and you only really get that over if you're talking. So if somebody would like to stay till 35 minutes in a survival, for example, they might say, leave at 35. And if you can and everybody's willing to, try to stay till 35. If somebody all of a sudden has to go because they have something in real life that they have to deal with, it might ruin your good run, but it would also be a courteous thing to leave as soon as you could for that person, then come back and try it again. It's a game. It's about having a good time and not really necessarily getting frustrated. If you can play with actual friends, it might make the experience more enjoyable because it's easier to communicate with friends than people you know without being total jerks. And your friends might also know your particular breed of sarcasm. that's really it that I wanted to get into on this one. So if you have any questions or anything that you'd like to add or anything you want me to add, just leave a comment below and I'll try to get to it or address it when I can. In the meantime, keep having successful runs and keep the friendship flowing.
Another job well executed.